welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, it's a defining moment tomorrow as the Senate insists the customs boss must appear in uniform to address the policy on vehicle importation. President Muhammadu Buhari meets the Senate President and House of Representatives Speaker on the state of the economy, politics and security. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) discovers 49 million naira cash from an unidentified passenger at the Kaduna International Airport. And suspected pirates hijack a ship laden with crude oil off the coast of Somalia. It's the first hijack in the region in 5 years.
And on business news tonight, Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele takes his turn in briefing President Muhammadu Buhari on fiscal policies and the state of the economy.
On sports news, Mirfield Gold Club votes to admit women as members for the first time in its 273-year history.
And from Abuja, Nigerian youth stage protest in Abuja ask the president to fulfill campaign promise on job creation.
We begin with the insistence by the Senate that the Controller General of Customs Service, retired Colonel Hamid Ali, must appear before the lawmakers tomorrow to explain the proposed retrospective policy on import duties on vehicles. The Senate took this decision in its reaction to a letter from the customs boss informing the lawmakers of his inability to appear before them because of a routine management meeting. Meanwhile, ahead of his appearance before the Senate tomorrow, the Customs Controller General has reportedly met with the Senate President in private. Our correspondent Linda Akigbe reports.
It's the first plenary session in the Senate since President Buhari returned from his medical vacation. Senate President Bukola Saraki is in receipt of a letter from President Buhari informing lawmakers of his resumption of work.
Dear distinguished Senate President, resumption of office.
The Senate clerk reads another letter on the floor, this time from the Customs Controller General. It's in respect of an earlier invitation by the Senate to the Customs Controller General, retired Colonel Hamid Ali, over planned moves by the Customs Service to check vehicles for evidence of payments of import duties.
I'm further directed to inform you that the date given to the Comptroller General of Nigeria Customs Service, Wednesday, 15th March 2017, to brief the Senate in plenary on the retrospective duty payments on vehicles in Nigeria has coincided with the fortnightly meeting of the NCS management. Consequently, the Comptroller General is humbly requesting for a new date from the distinguished Senate.
The reaction of lawmakers to this letter was swift.
This Senate should, if possible, oblige the request for the extension to show that we are different. Let's take him on Thursday. If he's saying that he can't be available tomorrow, two wrongs do not make a right.
Writing a letter and signed by somebody else, I am directed to the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Certainly this is not a matter of two wrongs not making a right. And the reason he gave that what the invitation here is coinciding with a small meeting that is taking place over there,
which he can control.
And the man is saying that because of that reason, Senate should defer. I think this is an insult of the highest order.
The position of the Senate is clear. He should appear tomorrow as directed by the earlier resolution.
But in a new development, the Comptroller General of Customs, retired Colonel Hamid Ali, has held a closed-door meeting with Senate President Bukola Saraki. Although details of the meeting are not known at this point, Channels Television learned that the meeting, which took place Tuesday evening and lasted for nearly 50 minutes, is not unconnected with the Senate's insistence that the Customs Controller General appears before lawmakers on Wednesday. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
The President has held his first meeting with the leadership of the National Assembly since returning from vacation. The meeting, which took place at the presidential villa, had in attendance Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, and was said to have centered on the activities that took place while President Muhammadu Buhari was away. After the meeting, Senator Saraki and Honorable Dogara briefed State House correspondents.
I came here to discuss the issues regarding the activities in the National Assembly in his absence. The President met with us. We were there for, I think, over 40 minutes. I was not talking to myself, so he was responding and we were engaging. And he engaged us very well, and we discussed issues of national interest, of importance. And I'm well happy to see him back, and he's back at the office and he's doing his work. The budget is ongoing, the economy, the things that we passed in the absence, the convention of the CGN, issues to do with the Euro bond, all general issues that are pending, and some other issues that are the issue of ambassadorial that is due, the stability in the Niger Delta, a range of issues we covered in this short period of time.
In other climes, it's always the province of the legislature to fight the executive. We'll fight on the issues, but maybe issues bordering on national interest. But we expect to cooperate more than we fight in the interest of our people to ensure that there's progress. It's one government. There's no division. If he fails, we all fail. And so it is in realization of this that we will always extend the needed support to ensure that he succeeds so that our government will be rated as a successful government.
Officials of the Kaduna Zone Office of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission have seized the sum of 49 million naira discovered at the Kaduna International Airport. The EFCC Zonal Head of Operations, Baba Ibrahim, while briefing journalists on the matter, says the cash is believed to have been laundered. He said the money was stuffed inside 5 black sacks and was found around 8 a.m. today.
13th March 2017, intercepted an undisclosed sum of 49 million naira in 5 large bags of 150 kg colored buhu sacks following an intelligence report. There was no arrest yet, but investigation is ongoing. Because we just saw, through intelligence, we saw the bags at the airport unattended to, and it has no tag. So that was raised our suspicion. We saw it at the checking-in area, checking-in baggage ban, but there was nobody to attend to the bags. We are taking the money to the CBN for safekeeping.
Now to the Judiciary. A federal high court sitting in Lagos has fixed March the 23rd to rule on the admissibility of a list of beneficiaries of some funds allegedly linked to the former Petroleum Minister, Mrs. Dezani Alison Madueke. The list was tendered by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in the trial of a senior advocate of Nigeria, Dele Belgore, and a former Minister of National Planning, Professor Abubakar Sulaiman. Both men and the former Minister of Petroleum are charged with allegedly laundering 450 million naira. At the resumed trial of the case today, the EFCC sought to tender in evidence the document containing the list of beneficiaries allegedly supplied by the former minister to partake in the sum of $115 million which she allegedly stashed in the bank. The lawyers to the defendants opposed the tendering of the list, insisting, among other things, that the document was not certified, and they asked the court to reject the document. In other legal matters, the absence of prosecution witnesses today stalled the trial of a former Minister of Aviation, Femi Fani-Kayode. Mr. Fani-Kayode, who was also the Director of Media and Publicity for the Goodluck Jonathan campaign during the 2015 elections, is being prosecuted by the federal government over an alleged 26 million naira fraud charge. At the resumed hearing, the EFCC lawyer, Mr. Johnson Ojobane, said he was surprised about the development and therefore asked the court for an adjournment. Counsel to Mr. Femi Fani-Kayode did not oppose the application, and the case was adjourned to April the 25th, 2017, for the prosecution to open its case. "23 members of staff of the Independent National Electoral Commission have opposed the bid by the federal government to prosecute them. Shortly after the case was called today in Abuja, counsel to the defendants, led by Mr. Ahmed Raji, informed Justice John Soho that the defendants have filed a motion challenging the jurisdiction of the court to try them. According to them, they claim that trying them in Abuja will be unfair since the alleged offence was said to have been committed in Rivers State. Our correspondent Amaka Okafor reports.
One after the other, the 23 members of staff of the Independent National Electoral Commission accused by the federal government of receiving bribe money during the Rivers State National and State Assembly rerun elections made their way into court. Inside the court, the 5 women and 17 men waited patiently for Justice John Soho to commence their trial. No sooner had the prosecutor, Mr. Aliu Alilu, sought the leave of the court for the 7-count charge to be read to the defendants, their counsel had an objection. Mr. Ahmed Raji, leading other defense lawyers, informed the court that they had filed objections challenging the jurisdiction of the Federal High Court in Abuja to try them for offences that are alleged to have been committed in Rivers State. He further argued that the defendants would not be able to prepare their defense properly as envisaged by law if tried in Abuja. He therefore requested that the case be transferred to Port Harcourt, where the alleged offences were committed in the interest of justice and fair hearing. Reacting to the submission of the defence, the prosecutor agreed that the issue of jurisdiction are fundamental to any case and will therefore need a short adjournment to respond to the application.
Jurisdiction is very fundamental. That has to be resolved first before any step is taken. Otherwise, whatever the court does will be a nullity. So we have to go back and respond to their motion, and then before we know what happened next.
All the alleged acts or actions took place in Port Harcourt. And in criminal law, except for some offenses like terrorism, trial must be at the place where the alleged offense was committed. The forum, appropriate one for the trial of the matter, should be the scene of the alleged crime.
Having listened to all the parties in the suit, the trial judge, Justice John Soho, adjourned the case to the 7th of April to hear the application questioning the jurisdiction of the court, while also ordering that the defendants remain on administrative bail. Amaka Okafu, Channels Television News.
86 political parties have applied to the Independent National Electoral Commission for registration ahead of the 2019 general elections. The chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, announced this at the INEC quarterly meeting with leaders of political parties in Abuja.
This is the first quarterly general meeting between the Independent National Electoral Commission and political parties in 2017.
Because we are committed to quarterly meetings.
In his opening remark, the chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, gave an update on the number of political parties seeking registration.
The number of applications for registration of new associations as political parties now stands at 86. We have received 86 applications from associations for registration as political parties so far.
But the parties expressed concern that they were not properly consulted before the 2019 election timetable was released.
We had a meeting with INEC National Chairman, and that issue was discussed. But unfortunately, we didn't understand him, whether he was telling us officially or he was just given an information on how our elections here should be tagged. So I hope when we come to the second session, this issue will be discussed.
The meeting then went into a closed session. After several hours of meeting, the political parties reconciled their position with INEC and pledged their support for the new timetable.
Arising from these deliberations, the meeting resolved as follows. Number 1, to support the new initiative of fixing of the 2019 general election dates.
In part 2, after the break, inflation figure drops the first time in 15 months. I'll be joined in the news at 10 by a frontline economist and managing director of financial derivatives, Mr. Bismarck Rawani, to join us again.